Hi guys, Fu here, and it's time for my favorite season of the year once again, Haunted House season. Now, Majanoni and I have sort of been on this journey to find what we think is the best haunted house in Arizona. The second stop on our journey was Panic Park. Panic Park is a newcomer to AZ, so we were really excited to have some new haunts. They're at 8800 East Indian Bend in Scottsdale, AZ. It's where Fiddlesticks used to be, so it's kind of in the back of that plaza. It's not very well lit, so you're going to have to work to find it. Their website is thepanicpark.com. Panicpark.com is in, somewhere back east, so make sure you don't end up on the other side of the country looking for a haunted house. It was $20 to get into this one, and then there's a $5 general admission if you want to do zombie paintball, I think it was. So, Panic Park. I'm going to sort of cut to the chase here. Panic Park was really a disappointment for me. I was really excited to see a new haunted attraction in Arizona, but I think overall they spread themselves too thin on the first year. Especially given that for $5 more you get 13th floor, which is really solid and amazing. For $20 you don't really get a whole lot. It might have picked up. We were there, I think, their opening weekend, so maybe it picked up a bit as far as getting maybe some more employees. There was a stage area that nothing was set up on when we were there, so it might be a bit better than when I was there now that it's a bit later in the season, but overall, I was really disappointed by this one. There's 3 attractions here. There's a Hillbilly Hideout, Haunted Hollywood, and a 3D acid maze. We tried to go to Haunted Hollywood first, but couldn't find the door, so we went over to Hillbilly Hideout. There's some actors roaming around the general area to give you a feel kind of like what they do at Knott's Berry Farm. And there were a couple of good actors. There were a couple of people who I didn't really get what they were, aside from in goth clothes and kind of being annoying. The ticket takers were in costume, which was really nice. I do always love that. Hillbilly Hideout was long and full of not really a lot as far as ambiance or sets or props or people. The actors that were there were really good. I'm going to give them all props on that, but they had nothing to work with, it felt like. There were some miniatures there. One of them was a pirate ship in the Hillbilly Maze. I didn't really get that. There was a hillbilly-ish house that was decent looking. There was a really great section of the maze with a guy, and then he sprayed you with a toilet, and the hillbilly actors were solid, but there were 5, 6 of them in this entire maze, and this was a really long maze. It felt like there was a lot of winding back and forth. All of it was outdoors. It didn't really play with the outdoor-indoor space or try and do anything with it. And then it had a chainsaw guy at the end, because you have to have a chainsaw guy. I don't know, I'm kind of over the chainsaw guy myself, but it did scare some of the people in our group. I think given more time or money or people, this could be good, but overall I was really bored by the time we got out of this one, and praying that everything else was going to be better. So next up we hit Haunted Hollywood, which lacked direction, I guess. I'd never felt like I was in Haunted Hollywood. I felt like I was in a better version of the Hillbilly Maze, slightly. There was an endless sea of chain link fence I had to walk through. A guy who popped out at me who looked like a pirate, again. There were a couple scary sections in this, a lot better than the Hillbilly one. There's a couple of guys that really jump out at you really well. But, again, it was long, and there wasn't enough going on, ever. And the sets in this one seemed really poorly constructed. There were some good points, and there were some creative things going on where they sort of brought you up to what used to be the go-kart track and sort of used that to create this dystopian LA feel, which I think could be really awesome, but wasn't all the way there. There were some skateboarders scaring you. That was kind of cool. So again, I think the ideas are there, but there's not enough time or people or money in it to make it work right. So the third and final maze was what I think was strongest in this park, and that was the 3D acid maze. 3D can and can't be done well, so sometimes I enjoy the 3D, sometimes it's just gimmicky. I think overall they used the 3D really well for this. You had to wear some glasses. that kind of made everything look sparkly. But the airbrushing on the walls and the set construction in this maze were really excellent. There were some cool drums that sort of clanked down at you. But again, this maze suffered from a complete lack of actors. And there didn't seem like there were a whole bunch of places for them to scare you. And with the 3D mazes, there's some great things you can do, like paint the actors like the wall and hide them. Because with the glasses on, you're sort of not sure what's real and what's not. So that's some really great scares. And with the production quality of this maze, I wanted to see something else. So, quality-wise, this one was the best, but again, there needed to be just more people. So, the final thing we did at Panic Park was Zombie Paintball, which I'd super been looking forward to, and I was so terribly disappointed in. Zombie Paintball was a bunch of plywood tombstones that were black with painted white things on them. There was a Doctor Who reference that was kind of funny, I guess. And we paid our $5, got our paintball gun, and then one zombie ambled out after they called for him a couple times, and then we shot him. Then he moved, and then we shot him. And then he moved. And then we shot him, and then I'm like, oh, I have 20 rounds of paintball ammo. Do I have to use it all? Because I want to go home now. So, Panic Park, I don't think they'll be getting my money again. I want to say they can get better, but I think this was stretched way too thin for what they had. I think a smaller single attraction would have been better than 3 attractions that didn't feel completed to me. So, overall, I'm going to say I'd avoid Panic Park again. I'd hit up one of the other parks in the area. But we'll see what other people are saying about it in the next couple of years. Maybe things will get a lot better. So tell me what you guys think. Rate the video up or down, and let's get some comments going. Happy Halloween!